this exciting session hosted by the Saranda House at IIT Madras online degree program, where data science meets real world impact. Today's topic, Data Science Beyond Code from Stats to Real Impact, is not just about algorithms or coding skills, it's about how you, as students and future professionals, can translate your statistical and technical know how into meaningful career journeys that truly make a difference. We are incredibly privileged to have with us Manali Kulkarni ma'am, a distinguished data career coach renowned for empowering data science aspirants to build successful tech careers internationally. With her rich expertise in AI, statistics, and soft skills, Manali ma'am brings us insights that go beyond textbooks, real strategies to bridge academic knowledge with industry requirements which are tailored, and how to craft the portfolios and resumes that stand out to top companies in today's competitive market. So, today's session promises to be interactive, insightful, and actionable. We will explore the evolving landscape of data science, emerging trends like AI, MLOps, and responsible data practices. Essential career building guidance will follow that will be future proof for your skills for this dynamic field. So let's deep dive into the conversation without further ado. Ma'am, please.
Yeah. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So, yes, first of all, thank you so much, Srija, for such a wonderful introduction. And I appreciate all attendees because it's weekend and still you guys are here. So, I can understand how brilliant students you are. You guys are already in your exam period, and weekend is that the time of relief, and still you are that much career focused that you are attending this session. So yes, I really want to take a moment to appreciate you all. And yes, I'm looking forward to give you more and more insights. When I got this opportunity to present here, so initially I thought it's already IIT Madras, like what, already students are that much brilliant, excellent, what I have to actually deliver them. So I was confused, but later I thought, no, somewhere I have also been through this situation. When I was in this learning journey, I was pursuing bachelor's, masters, so I was also going through the same. So I should at least share my experience, like what challenges I have faced, what things I have gone through, ups and downs, and how I navigate my career path. So I'm just here to share my experience. I'm not that much someone who is very expert level, but I will try my best to help you out all, because that's my genuine motto. Like, I'm doing career coaching and all, you guys have been watching, so that is my genuine motto, to help more and more students. So yes, I'm looking forward for our presentation. While presenting, I will be sharing my journey, my experiences. So yes, let's start the presentation. Okay, someone else is sharing screen or what? Okay, yeah. So
Yes,
let
ma'am,
me
you
share.
can share.
Yeah, okay. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So this is our today's topic, beyond algorithms. So data science beyond algorithms, we have to bridge the gap between theory to future. Means from stats to real impact. So that is how we will be conducting this session. So, before going ahead, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Manali Kulkarni, and how I have came to this journey. Why I am sharing my journey, because I have been through the phase where I was hunting job after having a graduation. I have faced some challenges, so definitely that may give you some direction, and this is how we can conduct our session ahead by sharing my real experiences as well. So it will be resonating with you clearly. And yes, let's start with my journey. So I completed masters in statistics, and I completed my post graduation in 2020. It was a time of corona and our exams were delayed, and it was a time where most of the hirings were freezed. So for about 8 months, we all well, the, everyone from my class were jobless, and they were struggling to get job. Only few could make it. So this way, I came across with one internship. But again, yes, I'm still sharing this topic because I want to make you all aware like such things do happen. So I got internship opportunity, so I was so happy, like at least I got something, because there was it was such a phase of frustration and financial instability, and in that we were not getting opportunity. Our exams and results came bit delay, 6 months everything was postponed. So this way, when I got that internship opportunity, I was happy, and I was wholeheartedly doing that work. Like it was a full time internship, and after 1 month, I got it was a scam. So it was paid internship, and yes, usually at that time there was no one to guide me. So in that phase, that's why I'm sharing this with you, so you guys will be aware, and you guys will be checking everything whenever you are applying to any job or any internship, by cross verifying their, not just LinkedIn, but who are the employees, like is that genuine company or not. Nowadays you guys have lots of advantage, like at that time there was no such things like ChatGPT and all. So yes, you guys can quickly access all information, whether anything is true or fake. So that way it's really easy for you all. So after having that experience, I was a bit depressed, and still I thought I shouldn't waste my time. I was targeting in IT field. I was looking for data analyst job role opportunity, but as hirings were again second wave came, second lockdown happened, so I decided I will not decide any specific path. Whatever came in my path, I will go for it. So this way, one opportunity came to me. It was assistant professor opportunity. So in throughout my career, I never thought like I will be a teacher. So I that was never my intention. But yes, it said some, if something is happening, it is happening for some reason. And that way I went for that, decided to go for that opportunity. I used to guide senior college students, bachelors of computer science students, statistics subject I used to teach them. And I also used to conduct their exams. I used to help them in project. So what happened through this 7 months of assistant professorship job, uh, my people skills got developed, like how to communicate, how to improvise your public speaking skills. Like my day one lecture and last day lecture, there was a huge difference. In day one, like on day one, no one was cooperating me, like senior college student, they were not listening to me. They were going out of class. So this way, from going through this stage to my last day was like, uh, everyone was attentive, and they celebrated my last day. And when I checked last few months attendance, no one was absent, and I was able to deliver 100% result to department, statistics department. So this way, I came across with certain challenges, but I was able to deal with that. So that job really taught me so much, so many things. And while doing that 7 months of job, I was still applying to the corporate, which was my dream. And this way, after 7 months, I got opportunity at Nelson IQ Gujarat. So where I got chance to work as a data analyst. So for 2 years I was in Vadodara. And yes, I kept applying. And even after staying there for 2 years, when I was making my another switch, I don't want to stay in data analysis specific domain. I wanted to target data science core domain. So that way I started giving interview again after 2 years. And what feedback used to I get, like, yes, I will come to this part later, because interview part I want to keep it for later. But yes, I will be sharing my interview challenges as well. And Yes, after switching that job, I got job at MKCL where I'm working as a data scientist, senior project associate. So our company is government associated. So I haven't highlighted that on my LinkedIn profile. But yes, I'm working there, and while doing this job, I used to make some content on LinkedIn, and that's how people started reaching out to me for guidance, career guidance, and that's how I became career coach. And I started exploring thing in career coaching. I did some certification, and through TopMate you will get idea like till the time many people have got my guidance and it really helped them. Most of the people got placed, and they when they someone DM me like they got placed, I really do feel grateful, like my purpose of helping others is being fulfilled. So yes, right now it's going, both I'm balancing both my 9 to 5 job and freelancing as well as a career coach. So yes, from my journey I want to tell you, like, you might be deciding any specific path, and if things are not happening in certain way, then you might be giving up or feeling lack of hope, or lack of ambition, or maybe depressing phase. But trust the process. That is what I want to say. Means you might be reaching to your dreams from any other direction, not by your decided path. So anyhow you will be reaching there, and maybe that's the God's plan. And like you all have heard that, like, God's plan is the best plan. So never feel, or never give up if anything is not happening as per your way. Just keep going, never give up. So that is what I want to tell you from my journey. And yes, this evolution has taught me that yes, the critical lesson I have written below, like technical brilliance alone doesn't is not enough. You need to be strategic with thinking and communication. So that's how not only technical things but your interpersonal skills, communication skills, soft skills, those things will also go hand on hand. So yes, let's start with this question, like, what matters the more, coding skills or data interpretation skills? So most data scientists do fail because, not because they don't know coding, but because they don't know the purpose what they are doing. Like if they are doing any data science specific task or project, what they are actually doing. So are they able to understand the business problem or problem statement or not? So that is my question. So some of you might be thinking coding skills, because technical or logical implementation of algorithms for automation purpose, it does matter. But how data interpretation matters, and how things are shifting from coding to data interpretation, that I will be explaining further. So that's what my point is. In Yes, we should master coding algorithms. They are valuable for interview rounds, because in interview rounds it got tested. But more than that, your ability to interpret data and derive actionable insights, it really hold greater weight. So yes, definitely both skills go hand. So yes, next point, next slide. So let's understand the evolution of data science, a timeline. So from 1990s to 2000, statistical era was there. Means statistics was evolving. Like hypothesis testing, regression analysis, descriptive analytics. So it was a statistical era. Then in 2010, machine learning came into the picture, where predictive modeling, classification, clustering, feature engineering, there are multiple types of machine learning, types in machine learning. So yes, this is how 2010 were all about machine learning. Then between 2000 to 2015 to 2020, AI revolution started happening. So deep learning, neural network, computer vision, NLP, these things came into picture. And from 2020 to present time, generative AI. It is a time of AI. AI, we do heard like AI is taking job. AI is uh, transitioning several industries rapidly. So how it is happening? You might be hearing this keywords like LLMs, foundation models, prompt engineering, AI agents. So yes, why this shift has happened from coding to business? Yes, point will get clear in the next slide. So each of this wave tell us whether it is statistical era, machine learning, AI revolution, or generative AI. Uh, the another wave couldn't replace the earlier wave. That is my point from this slide. So everything does matter here, and mainly your statistical foundation remains crucial. So even machine learning arrived, AI revolution happened, and currently generative AI is going on. Still statistics has high importance. So that's why foundational skills matters a lot. So statistical concepts should get clear because they help you to clean your data, they help you to decide the way of your analysis, and on the basis of your data you decide which path you should choose for technical procedures. So all that data, how to understand data well, that statistics tells us. So there are several types of statistics like central tendency, dispersion. Many and many types are there, and most of the machine learning core things are based on statistics. So yes, let's move to the next slide. So as these shifts have changed, how industry roles had shifted. Let's focus on that. So in 2000, let's break it in 3 years: 2010, 2025, this year, and 2030, the future. What will happen in future? So in 2010, primary focus was statistical rigor, model accuracy, and it was slightly shifting to the machine learning. So currently there are end-to-end ML pipelines and deployment, and in future there will be more AI orchestration and ethical governance. So yes, skills wise also, in 2010 Python, R, SQL, statistics, these were core tools, but right now there are MLOps, cloud platforms, full stack capabilities. And in future, yes, not in future, it's still happening through this year, and it is LLM integration, responsible AI, business strategy. So yes, already you can see this chart. I will not read all point to cover our points faster. So my point is, in 2010 there were roles like data analyst, business analyst, they were highly focused. In present they are data scientist, or uh, yes, data engineering. And in future what will be happen as skills and tools are changing to AI orchestration and ethical governance, and skills are also changing. So you will mostly observe MLOps engineer, AI product engineer kind of role. So it is going to shift from data scientist to uh, MLOps and AI driven roles. So definitely it's not like we as a data scientist we should not focus on data science and learn something else. No, every, like I said, uh, like I mentioned in my last slide, everything is relevant. Nothing is, no wave is replacing the earlier wave. So foundation is always important. Like statistics was important, then here in this case as well, in terms of industry role, data science will be important. So data scientists are evolving from model builders to product thinkers who deploy scalable ethical AI solutions. So this shift is clear. Then let's understand academic versus industry gap. So this is a main concern, like but most colleges are started taking this point seriously, because usually we do follow traditional methods when it comes to learn any course or any degree. So what academia teaches, theoretical foundation, algorithms, question and answer based on that. uh, the exams are conducted like that, like clean. They practical, in practical exams you might be getting some data set, then controlled environments to apply or experiment your analysis. Then assignments with clear objective. You have to reach out to this objective, so you have to complete this assignment during this deadline. So, and like accuracy metrics can also get checked. That is how our traditional academic methods are happening. But what industry demands, like you will be always interacting with messy data, not any clear objective. So on the basis of data, each time data will be different. So on the basis of data, you have to decide what method you have to go. Suppose if I gave you an example, suppose if you have Twitter's data, comment section data of any famous celebrity or any famous politician. So if I gave you such a data set and consider that person is celebrity or famous politician, so comment section data can be in million, and that data is in the form of text plus emojis. So it's really easy. Yes, interviews are basically revolve around scenario based questions, so you will be interacting such questions in interview. They will not ask any, yes, they will be asking you some definitions, but they will try to know more from your side, like how you are implementing that theoretical method into a real life or practical scenarios. So do you know the case studies, in what cases what method have to apply? So for that they will be asking you such questions. Suppose if I am interviewer and I am asking you, you have Twitter's data of any famous celebrity or politician, how you will analyze that? So that data can be, Twitter's data comment data can be in text plus emojis form. So if the question is how you will break it down into how much percent there are positive comments, how much percent there are negative comments, and how much percent there are neutral comments, if you have to calculate that, how you will calculate? So whenever it's number data, numerical data, there are fixed type of methods, and it is very easy to calculate those methods. We can apply a simple pivot on Excel and we can find out that percentage. But when it comes to text data, what method, how to analyze, what method can be used? So yes, interviewer will be asking you such question, be it text data, be it sometimes our data can be in audio files, sometimes our data can be in video files or images. So yes, data can be in any form, so there is a right way of direction to analysis. So in this case, let me give you answer. When it comes to text data, always there is a sentiment analysis, we call it sentiment analysis, and which can be done by NLP. There are furthermore topics like Roberta Burt lexicon, and using transformer you can use further detailed methods. But yes, for any text data analysis there is a NLP, natural language processor, which measures the sentiments, and based on that it classifies that. So yes, that is what industry is demanding, not only theoretical knowledge but clarity in terms of applying. So you will be interacting with messy data, because most of the time data is fetched from system. So you have to pre-process the data, because without pre-processing, if we go for analysis, then we might be getting wrong results. So that is not a standard process. So that's why some statistical data cleaning methods are applied first, to remove special characters from that data, to like stars, hash, not needed characters, to remove null values or blank spaces, or to handle missing values. So this way, another point is stakeholder communication and business impact. And yes, I will be covering this point when I will talk about project. Then another point is cross functional collaboration, not only your domain, but when you as a team, you as an employee, you are working with your team, but most of the time you have to do a collaborative work, collaborative project. So yes, you should be easily adaptable to others technologies as well, and you should have that curiosity to know what they are doing, and how you can give your input, how you can take your ownership in that situations when you will be working in any organization. So yes, cross functional collaboration also matters. then deployment, monitoring, iteration, that is common. But what I want to say from this, like, we really need to focus on, uh, we really need to bridge this gap from academic to industry. And academic projects, how you can prove that like you are industry ready to recruiters? Through your projects. So your academic projects prove like you can learn, and your portfolio proves you can deliver. So that's why your projects should be highly impact making. So my next slide is how to make academic projects industry relevant. Like, we do come across with several projects day to day basis, but are they industry relevant or not? Are they solving your real life problem or not? So that's why whenever you will be deciding to do any project, and yes, I will be sharing at the end of this session, I will be sharing some resources. So yes, they will be very much helpful for you to be interview ready, job ready, and skills ready. So yes, hold on till I complete this presentation. Yeah. So whenever you will be deciding to go for any project, decide any topic, so you have to think first, like, do it define the business context? So if you choose any topic, you have to think, who will it get benefit? If I do project on this topic, who will get benefit? And what decisions can be done through this project? How can I solve this problem statement? So understanding the problem statement, like, in interview also you will be interacting with this question, tell me about yourself. There is a fixed question, this question is fixed in each and every, be it any field, tell me about your project. What they are trying to check through this, not generic information about your project, but they are also trying to know the hierarchy, like what you have done. You are really clear with that or not? Like, you are just giving ready made answer, generic answers, or you are able to relate or connect with what you are talking. So there is always hierarchy of explaining such a question. So it first should be your objective. You should start with your objective first. Like, why did you selected that topic? What was your motivation behind selecting that topic? And why that was so much important to you? Have you checked any article, research paper, and that way you got motivated? So you can start with the story. We have to do a storytelling, and story makes it relevant. So this way, objective first. Then second, you will start about focusing on data collection. So how you collected data, what highly contributing parameters are there in your data? You can share some column names, and what is affecting your data, what is the problem statement, and which variables are highly contributing, and how you do data cleaning. Then what technical procedures you decided to go with for analysis further, and why that method, why not another method or any other method, but why that particular method? Suppose if I have to explain this with the help of some example, if there is a project of loan approval, usually bank has to, when customer apply for any loan, bank has to check several parameters whether to give loan or not. So for that, they ask, bank do ask to customer to provide some documents, many documents, and on the basis of that they decide whether to give loan to that person or not. So documents like that salary statement or credit card history, multiple documents. So on the basis of that, they have to decide that. So in this, when we have to predict whether to give loan to this person or not, uh, when I have tried this project, I have used first regression analysis, then I used random forest technique, and eventually I used XGBoost classifier method. So comparing three models, I got XGBoost classifier is giving more accurate results. So this way you have to do experiments. So you have to also explain, if you are going by certain technical method, you are, why not you are choosing any other alternative method? You have to give that reason also, because even if you are not sharing, interviewer is anyhow gonna ask that question. So we have to prepare from 360 degree. Yeah. So yes, second part was technical part, explaining technical part, and third part is conclusion. Whatever you have done technically, what was the result, so that you have to explain. So this is the steps I had created, like define the business context, then document it, your data journey, like data cleaning processes, what you explored. It was not just a ready-made model, but you explored some techniques to fulfill that data cleaning. Then how you build end to end, like you also explored some API, then created dashboard, then built interactive demo, then you tried to measure business impact. Now this point is important. So you try to translate model metrics into business KPIs, like rate of interest, everything, revenue impact. Then you communicate clearly, like the way you are explaining also matter, like how confidently you are explaining that. So in interview they will not be judging you on the basis of only your technical answers, but how you think, how you are as a person. So are you taking too much pauses, are you stuttering while talking, are you giving them chance to complete the question, are you listening them carefully, are you getting aggressive, are you getting panic, and if you are talking too much loudly or sometimes too much in a lower pitch. So yes, all this aspects matter to evaluate you as a person. So yes, while yes you, whatever you answer, try to answer it by giving more clarity and confidence. That is how you will be able to crack the interview. Then we talk about project, like why project matters and how should we not ignore some aspect of project when it comes to interview or when it comes to making a project. So how to showcase a project? So through the portfolio, your portfolio as a data person matters a lot, because what will matter to recruiter more than your degree, your certification? Projects can add definitely more impact than any other thing, because lots of career transitions are happening right now. Even I am from core statistics background, and you all are from data science background. Some might be from any other background, but yes, I have seen examples where someone from BCom, they are working today as a data scientist. Even one of my client, they had 15 years of experience as a web developer, they shifted into data science. So how this transitions are happening, even they were not from relevant field, how they showcase themselves as a strong candidate because of their project, and they had a good portfolio, they were able to execute it properly. So that's how they were able to make impression on recruiters mind, and that's how they crack the processes, and they are today working as a data scientist. So that's the important point. Project should be, yes, you might be uploading multiple projects on GitHub, because in resume, if it's usually said when we have less than 5 years of experience, we should create one page resume. Otherwise we can go for two page when we have more than 5 years of experience. So already our resume has limitation, so we cannot add more than two projects. And rest of the projects or coding work, or if you have to present anything about your research, then you can upload it on your portfolio. And project, it's not like you have to do multiple project, but even if you are showcasing multiple project, diversity matters. Like some projects should be from uh, healthcare domain, some from finance domain, some from sports, any matlab, different kind of projects should be there. So 3 to 5 projects are, you can also discover different topics like NLP, time series, recommendation systems, automation. So there are lots of scope, and on YouTube there are very good experts which do cover end-to-end projects. So try checking their tutorials, demo sessions. So you will be getting it quickly. Like when we try to do things on our own, it takes lot of time, and there is no one to monitor us whether we are doing it correctly or incorrectly. So that's why initially we should copy someone, like in college. Yes, you are already in college. So in college we do follow, or in school days we copy our teachers, like in terms of learning anything. So eventually when we learn that thing, we don't rely on teacher, we become independent, we are able to do those calculation independently. The same way, initially we should follow some expert, and there are very good experts from YouTube, like Rishabh Mishra, Ankit Bansal, Sumit Mittal, Alex the Analyst. Very yes, my action plan is already covering some good YouTube recommendations, so you will be getting that points there. Then second point is depth over breadth. So like if I have to elaborate this in another way, so I will say quality over quantity. So yes, focus on quality, not quantity. Even if you are having two projects, make sure you should have at least two projects. One should be related to data visualization, and another one should be related to data analysis. You can do data operation, model building, predictive analysis. Yes, there are a lot of scopes in that. And when it comes to data visualization, you can mix up two tools like SQL Power BI or Tableau, or Python Power BI. You can do mixed project, like mixed tools. Yeah. And third is production ready work. So yes, how you will be showcasing it to recruiter. So yes, what are the essential email elements here when it comes to portfolio? So clear understanding of problem statement and business context. It should be well documented, well presented. And visualizations, yes, if you have created any data visualization project, how to represent that in attractive way on LinkedIn, not on LinkedIn, but on your portfolio. So you can uh, take a screenshot of your dashboard. And if your dashboard or report is interactive, like as you are changing the slicer, it is getting changed, charts and visuals are getting changed, then you can do the screen recording and you can upload that screen recording over your portfolio. And yes, you can also share your GitHub link on your LinkedIn, so more and more people will be checking your project work, and you will be getting better visibility. So yes, project presentation should be business focused, interactive dashboard, and visual storytelling matters in that. So I will give you one example. When you will be working as a data scientist, you might be interacting with stakeholders, your client, and weekly basis or monthly basis they will be come with you with their data. They may be shopping mall owner, they may be petrol pump owner. So they will have data and they will come to you, they are your client, and they are non technical. So they will reach out to you because they want to know what is happening with their data. And you as a data scientist, you will be doing data cleaning, data pre-processing, data wrangling, data modeling, then data prediction, your output, and then you will be sharing result with your stakeholder, which is non-technical. But as our stakeholder is non-technical, we cannot explain them technical keywords. Like whatever we have done in our project, we know it technically, but we cannot share technical results with them because, or any technical keywords, because they will not understand it, they are non technical people. So it's like, we as a teacher, we have to deliver our knowledge to our students in understand easily understandable way. So that's why, to overcome this challenge, data visualization comes in the picture, data storytelling plus data visualization. So that's why we prepare chart, because through charts, through visuals, anyone can understand what is happening with their data, why line chart is going above, why prices are going down. So yes, what are the outliers, different aspects. So that's why data visualization is important. So how you are sharing your result, that also matters the most. Then what will happen in future? So what you should focus to be a future ready, like I said, in future there will be AI centric roles, AI product engineer or ML ops engineer, or yes, different roles will be coming, or these roles are already there, but not in that much demand right now. But yes, what you need to focus, there will be different AI tools, so you should be hands on with those AI tools. Even you are not hands on, Like right now also you are using different AI tools like ChatGPT, but not those common tools, but Cloud AI, Mid Journey for making presentation, Leonardo, so Black Box for preparing website, Replit. So definitely more and more tools will be coming, and to sustain in this competitive market, you should have to work with the technology, because technology is evolving or changing rapidly. So you should have to sustain in this job market. So for that, basic thing is prompt engineering. So if you are able to give a right prompt to your any AI tool, then and only then you will be able to get the accurate results. So yes, better prompt can give better results. So prompt engineering is a different topic, and there are definitely some books are available on Google. You can definitely check it out. Yeah. So generative AI fluency, what are LLM, their fine tuning, prompt engineering, rack systems. In most of the current job description, you are already watching these things like prompt engineering, rack system, AI and agent orchestration, CI/CD for ML, model monitoring, A/B testing. These are already in. If you check current job description, you will be familiar with these points. And nowadays, lots of saturation is happening. If someone is hiring for data engineering, they will be also expecting some data science tools. If someone is hiring for data science, they will be also expecting some data engineering relevant tools. So lots of saturation is happening, but it's not like you have to feel overwhelmed. Let's take example of learning Python. Initially we all do get overwhelmed while learning Python, but why this is happening? Because Python is having thousand plus libraries, more libraries, and syntax and everything. So usually we do procrastinate, or we do might not take that much interest at earlier stage. So eventually you will realize not all Python libraries are useful for data science kind of work. So some libraries are for app developers, some libraries are for web developer, and many domains. But for we as a data analyst or data scientist, we should start from uh, NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, Seaborn, and then eventually TensorFlow, SciPy, and PyTorch, those libraries. So yes, we have to go step by step. We don't have to feel overwhelmed, and we have to target on one domain first. So you have to choose any of this one domain, which you have to check first which tools, tech stack you are good with and you are interested in. So you have to build deep expertise in one area while maintaining other domains, or yes, you will be working on ML life cycle. So this combination makes you invaluable. So that's how your competitive edge. You have to combine technical depth and business acumen. That's what my earlier point was. Like you have to not only focus on coding, but you have to focus on data interpretation too. So yes, thank you so much. And yes, I have one roadmap for you. I will be sharing this document with you where I'm covering almost everything, like how to be future ready. And let me share that link with you right now in the chat. I have also included resume format and 300 plus strong action work with that. So I'm sharing that in the chat. Okay, my screen is stuck. Okay. Yes, I have shared it in the chat. Just copy that. You can download it later. And yes, if you have any question, you can ask me right now.
So let us thank you so much, ma'am, for the interactive session. Let us open the floor for question and answer. You all can raise the hands and we'll take up the questions. Meanwhile, I'll just ask a question. So, since I have also worked as an analyst, I'm pursuing my MBA in Big Data Analytics now. So I like you mentioned, one of the connects your connects was in BCom, and then they switched to the field of analytics. Same is the case for me. I was in BBA, and I switched to analytics as a field. So I just want to ask, ma'am, like I'm a person who is very interested to pursue a career in social impact, but on the other side, the technical aspect is that I love to work on the data and analytics part of things. So how do I combine these two? As you mentioned that we need to work on different data sets, healthcare,
Mm.
finance, etc. So my plan is to initially get myself, pally with all the analytics and ML libraries and the programs, and then maybe move on to the social impact of things. Maybe work with the government someday. So just a thought on that.
Yes, like you have to go by strategically. Now, this question can have a wide answer, and yes, I will be connecting with you afterwards as well. So
Sure.
yes, to if I have to suggest you something, start as you have already worked in data analysis domain. So that's good. Like you already familiar with the basic tools and how to do data analysis or data cleaning. That is actually a core thing of any, like if you have to expand it socially, then definitely you are good with that, you have some experience. Then while exploring MLOps, you have to be good with the statistical approach, because wherever there is data, there is there will be need of statistical approach. So be it a sport domain, be it healthcare domain, be it government, be it any uh, suppose let's take example of weather forecasting department, it comes in the government field. So
Right.
how they do predict this year this much rainfall is going to happen. So on the basis of past data, they try to collect last 10 years or however the years, they try to collect that data, and on the basis of that humidity, temperature and rainfall data, they do predict, they built a model using time series and they do predict like this much rainfall is going to happen this year. So there is always a way if we have to target certain things. So you have to decide first, like even if you want to go in the government side, which specific domain you have to go, and you have to choose that field and go strategically there. Yeah.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much. Saima, you can go ahead.
Hello, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good. What about you?
I'm also good. Thanks for asking, ma'am. Ma'am, I was about to ask, we are pretty much familiar with statistics, mathematics, and everything now, right?
Yeah.
And we are well known to these data analytics method and all. But how much exactly we need to get into a data role, right? Because nowadays, as you can see, the data science is like transitioned completely to Gen AI, right?
Mhm.
So how exactly we should approach a role, like if we are targeting a data science role,
Mhm.
and if we want to go for data analyst, so okay, data analyst is fine, but how to target the data science role in this like changing market, to be very honest.
Yes, I have one question. Like, what kind of projects do you have right now?
Uh, Ma'am, the thing is, I am doing the projects from the course as well
Okay.
and from the YouTube as well, and that's the main confusion that I'm not really feeling that confident, like what exactly,
Okay.
how much I'm prepared, just because the market is changing and it's really making confusion there.
Okay. So, as you have already decided it's data science, so you are clear with your objective, like you have to target data science job role, and definitely whenever you will be targeting any job opportunity, like you already know this is your target job role, and this is for all, not for just her, but even if you are preparing your resume, always check the demand, the current industry trends. So you will have to interact with multiple job description. I will give you this exercise to all today, like to understand the current industry trends and demands. Like yes, it's very normal to get overwhelmed by the lot of skills and how should we apply. So definitely there are keeping aside tech stack, there are other ways like how you are preparing your resume, how you are representing yourself. So to make it ATS relevant, or to make it as per the job requirement, and to understand the real industry requirement, like what is the requirement for data science specific job, I will suggest you to check at least 10 to 15 job role from LinkedIn. Read their job description carefully, like even when it is applicable for me as well. Like if I am targeting for some higher role, tech related, team lead related roles, it is applicable for me as well. So I will check target role, and then I will try to read description carefully. At least 10 to 15, be it from product based company, be it from service based, be it from MNC. Do not keep any criteria. So this is a bit boring. Like we have to check multiple job description, but trust me, job requirement is hidden over there. And ChatGPT can also summarize that job description, and you will be taking help of ChatGPT. But before taking help of ChatGPT, you have to go through that job descriptions first, understand the requirement, and also when you will be giving it to ChatGPT, try to ask ChatGPT what are the commonly observed tools, commonly trending tools are like what are the uh, which tools are currently trending in the market, and what commonly keywords, common tools, common eligibility criteria, common job responsibility you have observed in 10 to 15 jobs description. So this way you will be getting the common points, and you will be getting, like, I understand there is lot of fluff, lot of messy content, lots of website, lots of YouTube channels and resources, but we have to go by strategically. And mean, in my action plan which I provided you, there already I have covered the topics which you need to focus in detail with the resources, so you can definitely follow that.
Thank you, ma'am. That's really helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Naveen, you can go ahead.
Good evening, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the wonderful session, ma'am. You had described all of the journey from starting to how the market is going to progress in the domain of data science and data science. I am, in my case, I was a student of zoology. I dropped off that course and I joined into the data science. And while pursuing the data science, I get to realize that maybe the sector of medical field or probably the pharmacy field will be more suitable for me because I have an underlying interest to it. Okay, so but in my conversation with other people who are into the domain and some other friends that I have, they get to tell me that cracking into the medical field is going to be super tough for you because you don't have a degree currently and you don't have the sort of experience that they want. So in my case, now that I am starting to delve into the domain of data analyst job, I believe that is the most suitable thing for me to start with. Then I can build up the experience to the data scientist. So like I'm somewhat confused as to how should I step into the career now. Whether should I try to look for data analyst job into the particular sector that I want, or shall I get the job into any sector that I can and maybe later switch into the sector that I want, or am I to reach out to professors or other people who are people who are into the college, and they are doing some projects. Maybe I can try and do some project with them. With that I can maybe switch into the domain. So based on your experience and expertise, what do you believe will be more suitable in my case, is as someone who has no current tech job experience and no degree currently? Thank you.
Okay, so I will give you one example to gain more confidence in such a case. So one of my client was from physics background, and he had completed masters in physics, and after staying yes, after completing masters in physics, and uh, he did job as a assistant professor for 6 months, and I mean eventually he realized, okay, eventually he realized each year he has to teach same subject, so it is gonna be monotonous, and he eventually he will be losing interest in his job. So that way he came to me, and he, after staying active on LinkedIn, he heard about the data science job role or data analysis job role, so he found his interest in that. So uh, that way he came to me, and I measuring his current skills, like literally he had MSc physics, and uh, consider completely non-technical person who is not even from coding background. Like at least you guys must be familiar with print hello word coding. So in his case he was about to start it from scratch. So I had to provide him the whole action plan, considering his technical skills, their measurement, profile analysis, and I provided him 3 months action plan. And after following that dedicatedly, he's today, like today he's working as a data analyst, sorry, business analyst. His title is business analyst. So yes, career transitions are the very common nowadays. I have seen multiple. Usually, I do interact with people who are transitioning career. It's not like they are switching job in their own domain, but most of the people are coming to data analyst and data scientist. And if you are targeting healthcare domain, there are some very well-known healthcare industries like Sun Pharma or clinical trial topics, others like Cital is one of them. So yes, definitely you can target such company. It's not like I mentioned in the presentation, your more than your degree or your certification, yes, that do matter, your marks do matter, but more than that your project speaks a lot. And apart from project, yes, you have to do any healthcare related project to showcase that impact. And apart from that, your communication skill, your data storytelling skills, your interview skills also matter. So yes, to all I would like to suggest one website, Pramp website, where you can connect with experts for free and you can give mock interviews. And that way you will be getting real feedback as well, like how to prepare in a better way, like you will be getting more points of improvements. So that way you will be able to crack any medical field related job in IT.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Can you repeat the spelling of the name of the platform, please?
Pramp, Pramp.
Pramp. Okay. And ma'am, as I was, applying for job recently, like I applied for like 2 to 3 places. Then I believe my resume somewhat got selected, but as they called me for the further interview, the first question they asked, I mean, based on my LinkedIn profile, you can see that I have done degree, because I didn't mention that I was a dropout of it. I was part of the degree. So as they were asking me that when you have your graduation done, I simply, honestly, I told them that I don't have the degree done. I was a dropout of the degree.
Hmm.
Immediately, she was like, "Okay, we'll
Hmm.
contact catch up with you later, and I need to inform." And then I understood that the call is not coming back. That is why it has somewhat implanted the fear in me that lack
Hmm.
of a degree is a major aspect based on my experience that I have done.
Okay,
So
but yes, I would like to tell you, we all have to go through this process. Like when I was switching a job, like yes, this example is for all. When I had 2 years of experience as a data analyst, and I was switching a job into for data science relevant job role. So I have given several interviews, at least 30 to 40 interviews, even having 2 years of experience. Why this is happening? Because there is a lot of competition in the market, and we have to stand out always. We have to show something, like we have something different than others. So that's why we have to stand out. And that how you can improvise that after end of each and every interview, you will be giving, like Naveen and anybody else, when you will be giving interviews, you have to ask interviewer in the each and every interview last question interviewer do ask, do you have any question for me? Interviewer do ask this question in the last when they are winding up. So at that time you have to ask, do you have any feedback for me? And to understand what is not working, yes, you can experiment this to each and in every interview, like do you have any feedback for me, and they will be giving you the genuine feedback. So you can take it as a point of improvement, like what feedback I used to receive each time, I also used to follow the same method, and they used to share this feedback. uh, Even you have good technical skill, good project, you have worked with well known, well reputed company, you have good awards or achievements in that company, but still, even you are having 2 years of experience, that 2 years of expertise is not seen through your communication, your technical words. You need, like, that technical expertise. We have to refuse giving generic answers. We have to give it in terms of technical aspects. Like, we have to use more and more technical. Suppose if you are talking about machine learning, then you should at least use some common keywords of machine learning, like predictive modeling, regression, recall, precision, F1 score, classification, testing, training. So this is how your expertise will be seen. So you have to make impact in the interview while speaking that much with that much technical expertise. And yes, I also doubt about resume, like how resume was structured. So yes, you also have to work on your resume.
Thank
Okay,
you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Understood. Regarding the corporate part, I have understood. And now I'd like to move on to the second part of my question. Like, if I were to, not go into corporate immediately, but if I were to go under a professor or somewhere with research institute or something, then how can I prep with that? Any other difference in there in the both of the domains?
Definitely, because those are different paths. So you have to choose first, like which part you are is your target role. And it's not like a process will be easy for both part, because when it comes to research, you might have to give some exams, you have to clear some exams. So you have to uh, have that much patience till the exam happened, result came. But if you can also think about the financially, are you able to wait for that much period of time? So side by side you can do internship, or you can balance both things till you achieve your target.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for all the insightful answers to my questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Vanshi Lal, you can go ahead.
Hello, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Thank you for this amazing session, ma'am. Currently, I am in IIT Madras and enrolled in BS in Data Science and its application program. Currently in the foundation level and in the second term. So I
Okay.
am much fresher in this course and in this field and belonging from a small village. So I want to know the roadmap for me to developing like these skills, basic skills for me. And in the foundation level, you can know there is nothing to learn anything. And I'm doing standalone this degree, a hybrid degree, as well you know all. So I want to guidance for the learning these type of skills, basic skills like web development, anything related to my domain.
Sorry, which domain you mentioned?
Ma'am, I'm from BS in data science and its applications, AI,
AI.
data science. Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. So yes, how much you are confident in coding?
No, ma'am, I'm fresher. I'm
Okay,
in the
okay,
foundation level.
okay. So I will recommend you to check Khan Academy's website,
1
statistics
minute,
and
ma'am, I'm
probability.
meeting.
Yes,
Khan Academy.
yes.
Okay, ma'am.
So Khan Academy also do have their YouTube series plus their website. So they do clear everything about how to clean data. Like they are popularly known for statistics. And why I'm telling you statistics first, because it's important to have well understanding of the data. Because you, in future, you might have to do project, and you might be interactive with interact with big data. And by just looking at data, we cannot predict like what method I have to go. So that's why it's important, like every data tells some story, and to know that story, it's important to learn statistics. So that's why clear your fundamentals with statistics first, and then you can move to the data operations using Python, SQL. And for that, yes, if you have to brush up your Python or yes, for SQL, I will not say for SQL, but if you have to learn Python machine learning properly, then there is one YouTube channel, freecodecamp.org.
Free code.
freecodecamp.org. Yes, they do have very insightful session, plus they have explained some end-to-end guidance level project. So definitely they will be helping you a lot.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll just take up the questions from the chat. So,
Yes.
Hariti had a doubt. Good day, ma'am. Actually, my mic is not working, but I want to reflect on the query. So, the thing is that she is a second year UG graduate and thought of initiating a problem statement solution. She's not sure of choosing the no sorry she's sure of choosing the problem from medical domain, which would involve the data science and AI into it, but not sure about what to choose, like what problem statement to choose to start working on. So basically need some product related ideas on the medical field.
Okay. So you can either take any disease related project, like problem statement are there can be different disease related problem statement. Usually I have seen cancer related projects on websites like Simply Learn. So you can get some idea from that website in even some healthcare related projects. Okay, if you are on LinkedIn, yes, I will need to check this in detail because I only know one website right now. If I have to talk healthcare specifically, so you can ping me on LinkedIn. Yes, I have remember your name, Kanchi. Okay, so yes, I will be answering you there. Like I will be sharing you some project ideas over there.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay.
The next question is from Meher Soni. She's asking, ma'am, I'm in my third year of BTech and doing BS on the side, which is this degree. I'm confused as to what I can do after this if I want to build a career in research and development. And she has also given the resume link.
Okay. So for resume, I will need time to check it. But from your answer, yes, BS. What she has done, BS.
She is doing the BS degree, that is this one, IIT Madras
Okay.
online BS program,
Okay.
and she's in the third year of BTech currently.
Okay. Okay. So if she has to go specifically in research and development specific, then she can uh, either explore SME relate. Okay, BTech in AI. Okay. So she can either there are many roles like research analyst, so she can still stay relevant with her domain and still see she can do research. So research analyst role has lot of scopes of R&D, so that she need to apply that filter in her LinkedIn job preferences section, and she will start getting relevant job notification. So through, yes, again I will share this point. It's important to check job description first, whether we are able to do that or not. So if we are good with that, like if our if we are passionate to have that tool stack to learn that and to learn those topics, so definitely we can go strategically and we can master each and every tools and skills. So yes, I will recommend her to check research developer, sorry, I said research analyst oriented job descriptions, and that will give her idea like what way she has to give or not. And even she can uh, yes, she can connect with me on LinkedIn if she wants resume review. So I will can be, like I will at least check what skills she is having right now from her resume, and I will be able to share it in detail. Yeah.
Sure, ma'am. I request Meher to please connect with ma'am on LinkedIn and share the resume. And she's asking a follow-up question. Ma'am, any exam I have to give in case I want to get into a PhD?
Okay. When it comes to, if yes, if I have to talk skill specific, if you have to focus on data visualization part, then there is definitely PL 300 exam, which is highly reputed. And yes, as you are focusing on research, you have to work with such tools like Power BI. And if you have to focus on data analytics specific domain, then there is Google's data analytics professional certification, which is popularly known and which is applicable for all domain. So that's why you can also target that.
Sure, ma'am. Priyanshu, you can go ahead. Priyanshu. Uh, yeah, you can go ahead.
I am audible. Sorry.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, everyone is talking about you have to learn, just you mentioned statics from Khan Academy or something else. But I am confused. In BS degree, we have to study the statistic and probability. Then
Hmm.
what is the difference? Why everyone suggesting to learn from Khan Academy or something else?
Hmm. Okay, so if your curriculum already covers statistics, yes, if your curriculum already covering statistics, then definitely I'm able to hear my echo. Okay, so
Oh, okay, sorry.
okay, so yes, you can go with that. There is no doubt. Like when any expert or industry master is designing the course, or you can, it's like you have limitless options. But I told why I suggested Khan Academy, because it is giving you exposure to practice, not just learn but practice. You can watch their videos. Then on their website, there you can experiment that there is practice option. Whatever you are learning, whatever concepts you are learning, you can implement that on the spot. In their website, there is option of unit test as well. So yes, there are limitless options for statistics, but I was means my intention was to share the easiest and interactive one, because resources are so many. And uh, sometimes some resources are monotonous. You will get lots of courses on Coursera, but not all are interactive. They are monotonous. You will get very good certificate, but you will not get anything. So even eventually you have to keep refreshing your knowledge. So that's why we should always focus on interactive resources. If you are good with your curriculum and your teachers are explaining it good, and you are have you are asking them doubt and they are resolving it, there is no need to check any other resource. Yeah.
Ma'am, in my case, I am motivated to study from professor, and
Hmm.
I understand I have that much. I mean, I motivated to learn from professors
Yes,
only
it's same
instead of
like my
learning from
case.
myself.
Yeah. Yes, it's same like my
I
cases,
have
like
just
why I choose. Yeah, sorry.
I just checked the topic which I just checked the statistic playlist, and the topic that is mentioned I have already covered in my curriculum, BS degree curriculum.
Hmm.
So should I study again or just revise those topics?
Okay. So, yes, first of all, it's same like my case, because why I chose statistics, because my teachers were that much passionate about teaching statistics. So, I never had to refer something else. So, yes, your point is also correct. But those who have no guidance or no any handbook, or they don't have such a curriculum, so that's why I'm suggesting to join to check through website. So for them that option is there. And like you said, yes, what was your second question? I think-
Ma'am, I think
Hello,
he was asking if, yeah, yeah, go ahead, go ahead, Priyanshu.
ma'am. I am not able to make this differentiate or decide whether to what to
okay, okay, yes,
do. Like I am.
hmm. Yes, so your point was, do you have to revise everything again to check other study material or not? So definitely, if you are already clear with the like topics you have learned, if you are already clear with that, then you don't have to learn anything or refer anything additional. So you already having clarity, well understanding, well, like where xyz concept is used in real life, and you have hands-on practice with data set, then there is no need to check any other resource. So but the points where you are not clear, then you can definitely take help of some additional course or additional references, websites.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah.
One question is, more. Just we have a study the theory part in our curriculum, and the book is provided in which use the R language. So should I practice using R or Python?
Yes, so when I was pursuing a bachelor's degree, I had also R subject. But yes, currently it really depends on job. Like in my whatever tools and technologies I have worked, R was never there. But some companies do prefer R. So you have to make a choice. But Python has no competition, so you have to learn Python. And even if you're learning R, and if you want to do career in R, then you have to select specific, you will have limited option, you might have limited option. So you have to target only specific companies who do hire for R language. So there will be definitely limits. So to not fit in any limits, you have to definitely explore Python.
Ma'am, or how can I secure my first internship? Because I am in tier 3 college, second year BTech student computer science, and doing BS degree along
Okay.
side by side.
Yes, there are many platforms for internship, but I will recommend LinkedIn only, because on LinkedIn we do get authentic notification, and we have to be careful there. Like even we are checking any company page, check how many followers they have, how many employees are working there. Then connect with anyone from the company just to verify things, not like what happened with me in my internship. So that's why it's always better to cross check. There are other platforms also like Internshala, Naukri. So yes, those are also legit platform, but it's always better to apply from LinkedIn, because on LinkedIn people can refer you. You can, on LinkedIn you have limitless opportunities to connect with people across the world. And initially I used to do this mistake. When I opened LinkedIn account, I used to send connection request to only known people, but no, that platform is giving us worldwide opportunities, and that's why we don't have limit. We can connect with anyone for professional purpose, and we can seek guidance from them, we can learn from them, and even we can help someone else. So definitely your LinkedIn profile should be properly updated, because if someone is if you say send someone connection request and they are checking your profile, they should feel something impactful, like yes, I definitely need to help this person. And if it is not properly updated, then first impression is really makes or really matters. So that's why they might not be thinking to refer you or something. So our each and every detail, skill section, featured section, our profile heading, profile photo, like head to shoulder photo is recommended, and proper cover photo, then properly updated project certification, that really matter. And even you can reach out to recruiter on any company page. When you will click on people section, and you will there is a filter, if you search HR over there, you will be getting list of people who are working as a HR. So definitely you can reach out to HR directly for internship.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Rupak, you can go ahead.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, I have a question regarding the some data analysis. Ma'am, I did some project on data analysis. So can I share with you?
Yes, you can share it with me. Yeah.
So GitHub link, or can I show my project
Okay, okay.
screen
You
sharing?
can right now you can ask me a quick question. What question you have regarding that project, and then if you have to like cross check your project, then you can ping, like connect on LinkedIn. Like I will need time for that. Yeah.
Okay, so uh, I'll share my resume on your LinkedIn profile. Okay, and
Sure, sure.
ma'am,
I will
my
be
question
checking.
is uh, during during to make my project, I I mistake some little things that, or I know I'm not getting it. So please give me some clarify when you see my project.
Okay, okay. I just have one question. What project you have done? Data analysis or data visualization?
data analysis.
Okay. So yes, like I said earlier, initially we should copy our teacher. So like in our school, we used to copy our teacher, and then we learn, and then we become independent. Then we don't need to rely on teacher. We do things independently. So that way you have to check out some YouTube channel, good YouTube channel. Like if you are doing data analysis specific, yes, there are many experts, but I will take name of Rishabh Mishra, then Alex the analyst, and Pawan Lalwani. So there are multiple tutors over there. So they do explain end-to-end project guidance. So initially observe like how they are conducting any project, like how they started. You will be also getting CSV file in the description link, so you can download that data. You can follow what they are doing, and through that you will get the approach, like why they followed certain thing, and if they are interacting with any error, how they are resolving it. So you will be also getting the point, if you came across with any error, how you will be resolving it. So that way you can resolve errors, and you will not get stuck. You will be clear with the guidance, because initially we try to do, if we try to do things at on our own, there is no one to monitor us whether we are following correct procedure or wrong procedure. So that's why initially we have to have some expert guidance first from YouTube. You are already having lots of options, and when you become independent, you have full liberty to use your own ideas. Then you can experiment with your own ideas.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I'll just take two more questions for the
Yes.
paucity of time. Ansh is asking, he wants to know what are the potential problems he might face in the standalone degree. He is doing a BTech first year CSE student at a state government college, but he is not sure of continuing the degree or pursuing IIT course here. So,
Yes, like I said, apart from technical skills, it's really important to have a soft skills, like public speaking skills, communication skills. So usually in interview, apart from your technical skill, your soft skills, like how you are communicating, are you confident with your answers? So that part is also important. Plus, how you sharing your details, your projects. Then there are very yes. If I have to talk about behavioral specific round, then there are very commonly asked questions like, tell me about yourself. Why should we hire you? What are your salary expectation? What are your strong points, weak points? So these questions are fixed for each and every interview. And if we already know these questions, then why not to prepare them in advance? So you know your story better. Interviewer just know your resume, have idea about your resume, but you have to, like, interviews are basically about selling your story. So the better way you are selling, you will be able to make it, you will be able to convince them and crack it. So yes, apart from your yes, not to just focus on technical skills, you have to be prepared with the soft skills, and yes, AI skills, I will say, how to use AI, how to give a right prompt, that is important.
I think Indrani's question is also answered. So Ansh has one more question. He's saying, I'm currently a BTech first year CSE student at a state government college, but I'm not finding it very effective. I'm considering dropping out to pursue the IIT Madras course as a standalone degree. Do you think this is the right decision? What are the potential problems I might face with a standalone degree?
Okay, let me understand this first, like standalone, like.
So basically, ma'am, here at IIT Madras, we have an online degree program called a BS degree program. It's a
Hmm.
four-year program which has different level of exits. Like the first year is foundational, second is diploma, then you do BSc, and then you do BS. So you can exit on all the four levels. We are all in the different levels right now.
Hmm.
This is basically an online degree to pursue with a proper degree side by side or with workings to upskill yourself. So this is like an add-on degree. So what he means is that he is already in a BTech first year CSC student at a state government, and he is pursuing the IIT course here as well. But he is not finding the BTech very effective, and he is considering to drop out from the BTech to pursue only IIT Madras online program. But since this is an online program, it is tough to do it as a standalone, because I think now the scenario is changing. But earlier we need to have a BTech in place to pursue anything further. So that is what he means by the question.
Okay. So this answer may be having my own perspective, but I need to know his perspective in detail, like what are his career interests and what even if it is not that program, then what else options or what else skills he do have. So as per that, I will be able to guide him better. So there will be a specific answer instead of giving any messy answer. I would like to be specific. So yes,
Sure, ma'am.
you can connect with
Yeah,
me.
you
Yeah,
can connect on LinkedIn, and it would be better
yeah.
if he can connect with you. Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much. Anybody else has any other questions? Okay, I'll take that as a no. So, a big thank you to Manali Kulkarni ma'am for sharing her invaluable insights and strategies with us today. Ma'am, your expertise and enthusiasm have truly illuminated the path from learning statistics and coding to building a career that creates real impact. Thank you for inspiring us to think beyond just the code and for providing such practical and motivational roadmaps and advice to help us carve our unique journeys in data science. Thank you, all the participants, for your enthusiastic participation and thoughtful questions. We hope this session has empowered you with the knowledge and confidence to strategically plan your careers in this exciting and ever changing field of data science and ML. Stay curious, keep learning, and don't forget that data science is not just about the tech and the codes, but the impact you make with it. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. I really hope that session was useful, and I request everybody to connect with her on LinkedIn and ask the various questions that they might have. Thank you.